We saw a significant improvement in rates this week, and we also got new data when it comes to existing home sales and inventory levels. Let's jump into those details and get to the bottom line. Good morning. Lots of new information to go over with you today, but let's start with some data on home sales and inventory levels. We got the report for the month of October when it comes to new home sales, which is going to measure signed contracts on new homes. This actually rose 7.5% in the month of October and was significantly better than expectations because expectations were roughly a 5.5% decline. So a pretty big miss compared to expectations in the right direction. Sales are now down 5.5% from this time last year, which really isn't bad when you consider all the factors at play. Higher interest rates, inflation, and tight inventory. We're only down 5.5% from last year when it comes to new construction. There were 470,000 new homes for sale at the end of October when it comes to this category. That's up 1.7% from last month. And that means that there's a 8.9 month supply of new homes based on the current level of sales. But you have to keep in mind, only 13% of these new construction homes included in this number are actually complete. And no one's really looking to move into a home that's not completed. So when you look at the pace of new sales versus homes that are complete, there is only about a 1.2 month supply, which is very tight. We shift over and we also got data on existing home sales. This is going to reflect closings on existing properties. This showed sales down 5.9% in the month of October, and on a year-over-year basis, sales are down 28%. We do also see inventory levels at this period of time here cresting. This is pretty common every year that we see this natural seasonal fluctuation in inventory levels. So inventory levels actually are going to be building for a period of time and then declining. We're now at a point where we have about 1.2 million in existing inventory. That puts us at about a 3.3 month supply of homes, which is considered tight. And homes, when it comes to the time period that they've been on the market currently, that time period has been increasing. I think a lot of us in this industry have been seeing that. Homes remained on the market for an average of 21 days, up from 19 days previously. But if you look at the broader picture, 64% of homes, so a significant majority, were on the market for less than 30 days. So that's still a very short time period from listing to a property being under contract. Now, Jake, let's talk about some of the factors that are driving some of these changes recently. If you can go over where things stand when it comes to interest rates and any other data you have there.
Yeah, absolutely, Kyle. So the Mortgage Bankers Association released their weekly application data survey, and that showed that purchases rose 3% last week and are down 41% year over year. On the interest rate front, we actually saw a pretty good decline from 6.9 down to 6.67 on average. Now, rates at this time last year were roughly 3.25. So if we see interest rates continue to come down further, that could definitely lead to picking up activity. Mortgage rates follow inflation. So a Fed rate hike can actually help mortgage rates if it's effective in fighting inflation. And here's an example. The Fed hiked rates 75 basis points on November 2nd, and the mortgage rates were at 7.25. After a lower CPI inflation reading on November 10th, the rates have come down around 0.5% with no change to the Fed rate.
Yeah, good stuff, Jake. And it's important to point out when we talk about interest rates, we're talking about the average interest rate as reported by the Mortgage Bankers Association. So this isn't going to be the rate that applies to every situation, but it's a good reference for all of us that are industry professionals because we want to know the trends and how things are moving. So touching back on something we discussed in last week's video on jobless claims, we got more data on initial jobless claims. This is a measurement of individuals filing for unemployment for the first time. That increased once again by 17,000 to a total of 240,000. And this was a sizable increase starting to reflect some of the layoffs that we discussed in the previous video. Continuing claims, which is going to be a measurement of those continuing to receive benefits on an ongoing basis, rose by 48,000 to 1.55 million. So that has risen by over 200,000 in the last 7 weeks. This could indicate that it's harder for those who have been let go to find a new job and show a little bit of weakness on the job side. It's important to keep an eye on this because there's so many aspects to the economy and to the housing market. You want to look at each one individually and have an idea of where things stand so that you can be well informed and prepared going forward. We'd love to hear from each one of you watching this video if you have any feedback or suggestions on information that you'd like to have covered that you think would be relevant and beneficial to you as a real estate professional. So we appreciate you tuning in, checking in on this content, and we look forward to seeing you next week in the next episode of The Bottom Line.